They
Only
still
every
do.
other year, and we don't let them meet for very long. And you know what? We don't even make our capital particularly lavish or comfortable.
Yeah,
So,
Austin's a trash heap.
well,
I'm just kidding.
the Capitol is functional, but Senator Hughes, for example, has a much nicer office at Beard and Harris than he has in the state capitol.
Yeah, he
We
should.
just really don't. We don't want our legislators to get too comfortable, too wealthy, or anything else. You know.
He should move up to Minnesota. We just built a real nice legislative office building. He could work for Ricada Law. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So it's notice pleading. They'll have 20, well, the Monday following 20 days, following the expiration of 20 days after service, they'll have to answer. But then what'll happen most likely is that they may answer, or they may simply answer with a motion to dismiss for a failure to state a claim or an anti-slap motion. In Texas, can they file those prior to the answer, or do they have to file them?
No, they have to. They have to answer. They have to answer. But they would. If I were them, I would go ahead and. If I were them, I would already have the anti-slap motion prepared, because I mean they've known for 2 months what we're going to do.
Now you're operating under the assumption that they have actually retained attorneys and paid them to keep working on this. I'm operating under the assumption that they have not, because
that could be a critical flaw in my reasoning.
It could be a critical flaw in their reasoning too, but I guess we'll see. But yes, they should already have an anti-slap prepared. We've talked about it. We've talked about what the likely strategy is. It's the most obvious initial defense to the charges that have come out. It's almost like over a month ago, I laid out pretty much exactly what charges there are, because they're the most obvious charges from the publicly available information.
By gosh, I think you might have. Now that you're mentioning it, I do believe, in fact, you did.
So they should have known. Only if they didn't believe me would they not know that it was likely to see a defamation claim, a tortious interference with business relations, you giant shoe-eating idiot, and a civil conspiracy claim. Those would be the charges. And since 2 of those are based on speech, a Texas Civil Participation Act motion would likely follow. Now, the reason I'm roundabout getting to this is deep in the legalese, is that when a judge takes that Texas Civil Participation Act motion, he has to then take your pleading and read it, and he has to give, if I'm not mistaken, all deference to the factual assertions in your pleading and treat them as if they are true.
Yes, and we get a response.
Right.
So, so a lot of the detail that I guess other people might want to be seeing, well, of course, that some of that will be in our response if necessary. The thing about the anti-slap statute is, I would expect corporate counsel to do that just as a matter of course. But of course, private counsel, you got to pay a lawyer to do that.
Yeah,
and if I were an attorney if I were an attorney in this set of facts, I'd be saying to my client, look, you can pay 5 of my time to do this anti-slap statute, but when I'm looking at this binder of 400 plus defamatory tweets, I'm probably going to be saying, they're probably going to win this round. And oh, by the way, client, if they want, they'll have a hearing and they'll have the right to testimony under oath on the stand. I would be, I don't know if I were representing the other side in this. I don't know how attractive I would find that solution, but we'll see.
Yeah, it all changes when you're paying bills. Suddenly, the Twitter bravado starts to go away when you're looking at what you were saying is if you file that slap motion, 1, they have to draft it, which means they have to read through it. They have to read through any Texas Defamation Mitigation Act letters they may have received that might have been almost a full ream of paper. They'll have to spend, I don't know how long it takes you to even page through 400 pages, but I can't imagine. Yeah, what's up?
Nick, can I relocate my machine because we're having really crummy internet connectivity for some reason? I want to get closer to my router, so give me just a couple of minutes, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. Just are you gonna hang up and hit the link again?
I think that probably would be best.
Yep, that'll work.
All right, so
we'll talk to you.
I'll be right back.
Yep, we'll talk to you in just a second.
Thanks, man.
All right, guys. Ty will be right back. He's got, normally he broadcasts from the office. Tonight he's not there, so he's on a little bit different internet setup. But one thing. Let's go through what Ty and I are talking about, and we are gonna do all the chats in just a second. We're gonna go through. We're just laying out the preliminary stuff, but what they have to do is they'll bring an anti-slap motion. When they do that, let's say it's Ron, right? Ron's lawyer is going to have to read the petition. He's going to have to analyze the claims in the petition. He's going to have to research whether or not it is a slappable claim. If he decides that it might be a slappable claim, he will have to then start drafting that slap motion. He'll have to go through probably all of the tweets that were sent as part of the takedown request, and he'll have to look into all of the defamatory allegations in the petition. And then what he'll have to do is, once he drafts the petition and submits it, Ty will get a chance to respond. So he'll have to read the response, analyze the response, probably research any case law that he might have missed. He probably won't miss much because it looks like they're a solid law firm. If Toye's counsel is still the same. And then he'll have to, if Ty requests one, they'll have to go and have a motion hearing. At that hearing, any of the participants in the motion, if it's Rial, Markey, Soye, Funimation, they'll all have the opportunity to be brought onto the witness stand to testify about it. And Ty will have, a fair chunk of time to go ahead and ask them questions under oath that they will have to answer in relation to their speech. And that's the core issue of this case. So it gives a pre-examination. Now, what you have to understand is how expensive this is, okay? Having a motion hearing, just a motion hearing, no papers, even ignoring the papers. You've got prep time the day before the motion hearing, probably 2 to 6 hours of time. Now, if you're paying one attorney 2 to 6 hours, and it's a high value attorney like Toye and Rial have claimed to hire, looking $400, $500, $600 an hour. Okay, you're gonna pay that. You're gonna pay their travel expenses if there are any to the motion hearing. I don't know where that attorney is located, but they'll have to take them to the Tarrant County Courthouse. They'll have to pay for the actual hearing time that is done. So if Ty has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 witnesses, whoever's there, they will all have to be questioned. They will have to be cross-examined, they'll have to be examined and cross-examined. That's going to take time. I mean, you're talking more than an hour for a slap motion hearing with witness testimony, maybe 2 to 4 hours, depending on the amount of witnesses. That's only if it's one day. So you're already 10 hours into this thing. Because trust me, the lawyer's not going to bill 2 to 6 hours. He's going to bill 6. You're 10 hours into it. Well, you just drop $4,000, $5,000 on one motion hearing. That's ignoring everything. That's ignoring the papers. That's ignoring the actual drafting of the motions, the review of the counter to the motion. That's ignoring everything else. A hearing with a high value, high profile attorney is going to cost you out of pocket $5,000 every time you do it. Hey, Ty, I see that you're there, but I don't have your image up yet.
Yeah, we're working on that. Give me just a second.
You sound good.
Good. Logitech. You know what? How about we just use the integral camera? Oh, turn camera on.
Yeah, turn that camera on.
Yeah. Tell you what. Let's just go
Let me
with
just
this.
unplug it and plug it back in.
Okay, hold on. My technical advisor is here, Nick. I
Yep.
have to.
No, I can hear her. This is
One
why.
of the other she who must be obeyed.
This is why we have children.
Yes, that's right.
Oh,
We're there. Hey.
and you to reassure you,
Cool.
only like an inch of her face was on camera. So.
Well, it's a beautiful inch, I can tell you that. So.
Well, welcome back to the show. Welcome back.
Is
to
this
the show.
better?
Yeah.
Is this better?
It's good.
Good, good.
It sounds good. The video is much crisper. I was just explaining that one of these hearings, out of pocket, you're paying a private attorney just for the hearing, and we're not even talking about paperwork and stuff. You're probably paying somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000 for one of these hearings.
Very easily, because part of the problem is you don't actually, the way dockets work, in Texas at least, you're told to show up on a certain day, and you don't actually know when you're going to get called. I mean, the coordinator will give you some idea, but if the people in front of you go long, or the judge has something come up that he's got to deal with, it's not uncommon at all to be there all day long, and of course your lawyer's got to bill you for that time. So,
Right. It's just wildly expensive, and so you have to make a strategic decision. Do I pay for this chance at a slam dunk? And it is a chance, but I mean, if you win, you win. So long as it isn't frivolous, it's just a cost benefit analysis. Now, in Texas, the statute or the standard for beating the Texas Civil Participation Act, if I understand it correctly, is merely bringing a prima facie case of defamation and tortious interference in this instance.
Yeah, and with the evidence that we've attached to the pleadings themselves, if I were on the other side, I'd be saying, guys, we can try this, but let's don't get our hopes up. We better be ready to substantively defend this suit.
Right.
There's way too much very clear written evidence. I mean, I don't know what you do when a client walks in with 400 plus defamatory written statements that he's broadcast to the entire universe.
Yeah, me either.
I know what I'd be saying. I'd be saying you ought to settle, but obviously.
Over your right shoulder, the reflection in the window is showing your daughters. So I don't know.
Okay, you're visible in the.
Yeah. So I mean.
It's fine, but
it's not a big deal. But just I know how I am. Like if I don't know I'm on camera, I want.
Oh
to
yeah,
know.
yeah. No. There's you know how ladies are. They live in fear of being on camera when they're not aware of it. So,
Careful. You're gonna if you say things
I'm gonna create a hostile environment, aren't I?
Yeah, if you say things like how ladies are, I'm gonna have to call your boss and have him
That's
reprimand
right.
you.
Yeah,
for,
there you go.
For harassment. Okay, so all right, so another interesting aspect of this is you've got apparently a very aggressive discovery plan, because you've got in this petition, or attached this petition, interrogatory requests and document production requests straight out of the gate, which isn't it's not the most conventional way to do it.
No. Typically, you'd file suit. There'd be some kind of period in there. You send basic what we call disclosure requests, which are very simple. Give us your names, tell us the very broad outlines of your strategy, etc. In fact, the federal rules just now assume, that they just require you to disclose that as a matter of course. But no, we've got a fair amount of discovery in there, and there's a more limited time frame for them to respond if you file the discovery with the petition.
What is the in Minnesota? It's the same. It's 21 days from the date of service to respond to the discovery request.
A little longer in Texas. Normally it's 30 days, but when you file with a petition, it's 50 days total.
Okay.
So they got 50 days to Yeah, they
get their answer time theoretically. Plus their 30 days. Actually, I think I misstated that. I think it's 30 days in Minnesota as well.
Yeah. And courts will grant motions to extend discovery periods with reasonable cause. Counsel will typically agree. We don't, normally speaking, if our opponents are acting like reasonable people, we will, we'll grant, we'll tell them, yeah, you can have another month, or you can have another whatever, and you can always supplement discovery. You turn over what you've got, and you have a continuing obligation going forward to turn over anything new that you turn up that's responsive. So it's kind of a flowing thing.
Yeah, but this case is a little different because you're talking about people acting reasonable. You're talking about the conventional case, but this case has what appear to be very unreasonable defendants, and they've spent the last 2 months, 3 months now. They spent the last 3 months, actually to the day 2 days ago, absolutely hammering your client. And so that changes the tone a bit.
Yeah, it does. I am going to be very curious to talk to opposing counsel in this case. Until I talk to their attorneys, I have no idea what we're dealing with. All I can say is I think I know how I would react if I took. Well, I wouldn't. I'll be honest. I don't think I'd take clients like this, but if I chose to do so. I don't think I would see anything to gain by being a jackass.
Right.
I personally have never found that to be a particularly useful strategy with the other side. I've always tried to be. I brag. You've probably heard me brag this. I'll treat my opponent as well as they allow me to treat him. And I've been in cases where the fact that opposing counsel and I got along very well and were respectful actually made the case turn out better for everyone. And of course, I've been in cases where my opponent was a complete jackass, and I can match anybody toe to toe if I have to. But I'd prefer not to.
They don't talk about that too often, but that's required course as a 2L is jackassery.
Yeah. Yeah. As professionals, I think that we have an obligation to try to act right. The legal system has its share of critics as it is. I don't think lawyers help anything by behaving like children. But unfortunately, it does, if the other side does it's the nature of an adversarial system. You're almost obliged to respond in kind.
Right. You have to have to go after them. There's a weird guy on the internet named Stefan Molyneux.
I've heard that name.
He's a philosophy blogger or vlogger, whatever.
Anyway,
he's kind of a weird figure. Some of his history stuff's interesting. I don't know if it's good or not, but it's certainly provocative. But one thing that I do like that he says is he will be courteous to people until they are discourteous to him, and then he will go down specifically to the level of discourtesy he's been shown.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel exactly the same way.
Right. So that's how law works. It's because it depends, or it's specifically tailored to you being on somewhat equal footing with the client. That's why we want everyone to have competent counsel. You want your opponent to have competent counsel because you want to know that they're being at least somewhat properly advised, even if you disagree. And you definitely want them to have a reasonable person who understands what's going on to advise them on what their options are, so that they may make the wise decision, even if it's one a conventional person wouldn't like.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've always had a deep interest in strategy, both as a hobbyist, a war gamer, and just in general. And we use wargaming techniques in our practice when we prepare for litigation. And I've got a well-used saying that you can't strategize against a crazy person.
Right.
Well, because all strategy is based on the assumption that your opponent is going to act in their own best interest, at least as they reasonably see their best interests. A crazy person, by definition, does not act in their own best interest. You might as well just flip a coin or read tea leaves trying to figure out what they are. And, we have a job to do. Our job actually isn't to fight. It's to solve the problem that the client has presented us with.
Right.
So, no, I absolutely hope that everyone in this case gets good counsel. I really do.
Yeah. Well, they can't get worse counsel.
That's true.
That's the funniest part of this. I'm dying. I'm laughing constantly.
Well,
because they just. Ooh. Okay.
yeah, I can't figure out. I honestly can't figure out how any of the moves that really any of the parties on the other side have made up at this point could actually be informed by counsel. And I'm not saying that to attack anybody. I'm just simply saying that I know exactly the kinds of things I'd be telling every party in this case on the other side. And I know what my other attorneys would be doing too. And I can promise you it wouldn't be continue to tweet obnoxious, stupid, asinine things every single hour. It wouldn't be, delisting Mr. Mignogna from the credits of the videos and crap like that. I mean, this stuff is, this isn't the craziest case I've ever seen, but it's on up there. It's competitive.
Right.
But,
Hey, to the chat, if you want to hit 9,000 plus viewers, everybody click that like button, and that'll drive us way up on the trending thing on YouTube. It'll help bring people to the channel. If you want me to make an over 9,000 joke, go ahead and hit that like button. It'll help do that. And if anybody out there hasn't shared the stream on Twitter, please do, because I heard that my notifications weren't working as well. So, Ty, I've got a proposition for you.
Okay.
I would like to. There's a whole bunch of chats waiting with questions for like me and you, and so I want to go through those while you're on the stream. I want to try and get through any and all of them that we can, and then we have something. Do you want to tease that something that we're gonna?
Yeah, I've been given permission to do that. So yeah.
Okay, Okay, guys. Again, we've got a teaser coming at the end of these chats or somewhere in there, and I'm gonna go through them as fast as possible while we have Ty here, because once I kick him off for the documents, he's gone. So let's do it. We're over 9,000. All right. What? Over 9,000? That's impossible. There we go.
This thing must be broken. Isn't that the way that goes?
Oh yeah, this thing must be broken. There
Sorry,
you go.
I'm checking my internet again. I think we're better now.
You're doing well. Okay, I'm gonna burn through these chats, answer them. Obviously things are a little different.
I'll do my level best.
Right, things are a little different now because you have filed, and so do not feel obligated to answer anything.
Agreed.
Okay, Rolana1 says, just wondering if the fact that Funimation removed Vic's Q&A session from the DBZ Super Blu-ray would factor into the lawsuit. My personal opinion is that it's ongoing evidence of malice that is continuing.
At the very least, it's ongoing evidence of an absolutely amateurish chicken shit attitude about things. I'm sorry. This really angers me.
Yeah.
This is the man's body of work. Well, no. And we're exploring the legal side of it. But seriously, what kind of professional, serious company acts this childishly?
None of them. No.
And for that matter, Funimation, if you're listening, if you ever do decide to settle this case, doing that kind of shit just pisses us off. It does not in any way make us more willing to settle. You really should be thinking about those sorts of things.
Yeah,
idiots.
They have acted in such a strange way from the start. I would think, if I were representing them, that there would be